What are the holy relics that remain of the seed movement? When I went to Vermont a few weeks ago, I came back with what Maureen and I believe to be the original bowl in which the seeds moved. Here's a picture of it. We are 95% sure that this is the bowl that was used. It is 5 inches across in both directions at its widest points and 2 inches deep. The circumference of the bowl, rounded off to the nearest digit, is 15.7 inches. That kind of reflects the date of the movement because it was the 7th month, and 15 plus 7 is 22, the actual day of the movement. The seeds were marijuana seeds that had been collected by my brother or his wife or both after some trailer tenants on their property had vacated the premises. The tenants had left behind seeds throughout the trailer that were able to fill the container shown below. Even though neither one of them believe in using or selling pot, my brother wanted to plant a few just to see what the plant looked like, is what he told me. He believed he had the right to do that on his own property if it wasn't for illegal purposes, and it wasn't for illegal purposes. The pretzel container below is what was filled to the top with seeds from the rented trailer. Maureen and I believe this is the actual container that was used. Interestingly enough, it held 22 ounces. There's that 22 again for the day of the seed movement. This was found in my late brother's bedroom in Missouri with loose change in it. I suspect he took it with him at some point to get rid of whatever seeds remained in it so that it wouldn't be found in the house in Vermont, even though the house went to his wife in their divorce. Here is a picture of the book that we used to discover the graveyard that the arrow was pointing at that night in 1978, written by L.C.C. Wells. It was in this book that we discovered the owner of the house where we were, my sister-in-law's house now, was L.T. Perkins in 1871. However, the L was an error in reading. It should have been an I for Isaac T. Perkins. Thomas was his middle name. He was born in New Hampshire in 1819, and his father was George Perkins and his mother was Rosella. When looking up records in Ancestry.com, I discovered that he was also known as Isaac T. Perkins, J.S. Perkins, Isaac F. Perkins, and G.I.A.L. Perkins, and Isaac Thomas Perkins. There was no L.T. Perkins. I'm sure the L came from reading the land purchase records at the Bakersfield clerk's office, because I saw those records, and what could be read as an L could also be read as a J or an I. Too many instances in census reports indicate Isaac T. Perkins was the person. I thought for many years that I saw the name L.T. Perkins at the graveyard the next day. It was when I recently looked at my autobiographical manuscript that I realized that I had written that there were some Perkinses buried there. I hadn't mentioned L.T. Perkins as having been buried there. Instead, I had simply mentioned his name in relation to having lived in the house where the seeds moved. However, there is a good chance that Isaac T. Perkins was buried there. I couldn't read most of the tombstones when I went back there on my recent trip because they were not readable for the most part. I will have to check the clerk's office burial records to find out where Isaac T. Perkins was buried on June 2nd, 1896. I couldn't find him there before because I was erroneously looking for L.T. Perkins instead. In previous talks about the seed movement, I had referred to L.T. Perkins's initials of being PTL, praise the Lord, in the direction of Hebrew. Of course, that is out the window now. My sister-in-law is checking the coin collection to see if she has only one 1912 nickel. If that's the case, then that is the nickel she found in 1978, just before she had a visit from the old lady who was born in Maureen's house, the seed movement house. That lady said she was last in the house in 1913. The only living person born in the house that was living there in 1913 and still alive in 1978 had to be the granddaughter of Isaac T. Perkins, Katie T. Perkins-Young. She was born in 1899 there. She died in 1982. When she visited, she left some pictures. 3 of them are from 1876, dated 76 on the back, and one from 1916 when someone else lived there. Here are those pictures. Most likely this is Isaac T. Perkins, her grandfather, with part of the house in the background. This may be Mary Lashaw or Lashway, who was listed on his youngest daughter's death certificate as Luna Fletcher's Perkins' mother. Originally, Eliza Perkins was listed as her mother in other records, but Eliza was about 49 or 50 when Luna was born. Also, this picture of this woman with a child in the background, who might be Luna, is too young to have been 57 or 58 in 1876, date the picture was taken. The girl is in the background by an open door in the upper left corner of this picture. She could be 7 years old, which is how old Luna would have been in 1876. This is another picture left with Maureen in 1978 from 1876, showing some oxen with the house in the background. The last picture is probably the owners of the house in 1916. I don't know their names. It will most likely be whoever bought the house from William Perkins, father of Katie and oldest son of Isaac T. Perkins. The only other remaining relic yet to be found is the salt and pepper set in the shape of tombstones. Those are stored somewhere in the attic in Vermont. When they are found, they will also be printed here.